El futuro tiene nada más que la confrontación.
Hey, welcome to You Don't Even Like This Show. I'm your host, Adam Todd Brown. I used to host a podcast called Unpopular Opinion, and that podcast was this podcast. But then everyone else in the world decided they liked the name Unpopular Opinion a lot too, so we changed the name to You Don't Even Like This Show. Each week, me and a couple of guests selected from a pool of the absolute sharpest minds the LA entertainment scene has to offer use this here space to talk about whatever the hell we want. News, pop culture, politics, information, you name it, we talk about it. And sometimes my co-host Jeff May is here too. It's a blast. You're gonna love it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to You Don't Even Like This Show, a podcast about news, information, pop culture, technology, guns, knives, fucking desserts, whatever we want to talk about. I'm your host, Adam Todd Brown. Joining me as co-host this week, my favorite co-host of all. No co-host, but I do have a couple of guests. Case in point, here for the first time in a long time, JP Brown is here. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's good? I'm good. Yeah, it's me. Oh my God. I'm good. You know, ups and downs, sometimes more downs than ups, but I'm still standing somehow.
Why? Is there something going on? What's going on in the world?
You know, just a few things here and there. You know, it's just we're living in a very weird timeline. Just a very weird timeline. Even if it's not stuff that's happening outside, you know, stuff happening in my own life as well as just, you know, life has hands.
Hey, also joining us, Ethan Stanislawski's here. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing all that. I will say I applied for a Canadian passport in 2016, which I got because
Nice.
As a Jewish person, the one thing I have retained from my religion is knowing when to flee. And we'll see what happens. But see if I'm in LA this time next year, either in Toronto or prison. Who knows?
Yeah.
Oh, man, you chose to go to Toronto. Oh.
Yeah, probably not a bad time to start applying for passports.
No
matter who you are.
Kind of. I mean, I thought about that too. I mean, but at the same time, it's like, I don't really want to go. Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, obviously, I was raised in Toronto, Canada. You know, I was born in the States.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, born in Atlanta, raised in Toronto. And I don't want to go back. I just don't. You know what I mean? I'm just not. I'm over it. I'm over Toronto. I know the last time, I think it was one time when I was on this podcast again, Adam, when I was talking about Toronto, and I'm just like, yeah, you know, the city is great, but the people suck. You know?
I've heard that.
Yeah,
I've heard that.
Oh yeah, I stand on it. You know.
Yeah.
I've heard the opposite about Winnipeg. People are great, but the city sucks.
Yeah, definitely stay out of Winnipeg for sure.
Yeah, I actually haven't heard that. I've just been to Winnipeg, and boy, does it look bleak. Man.
I think it was like the murder capital of Canada or in like I want to say like the 80s or 90s or something like that.
I think I mention this every time Winnipeg comes up, but when I worked for Cracked, we did this Photoshop contest called Explain the News Like a 5-Year-Old. And it was right around the time that guy got his head cut off on a Greyhound bus in Winnipeg, and one of the submissions, someone just drew a Greyhound bus and there was a guy sitting on it and his head was a bumblebee. So it was man beheaded on Greyhound bus.
Yeah.
All I will say about Winnipeg is the Jets are fucking killing it this year in the NHL. So that's a thing.
That's a thing. Yeah.
At least some Jets are killing it. Not the New York Jets, not the Jets in our skies anymore.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's all the killing that's happening in Winnipeg, but I don't know.
Probably
I
not.
don't know. Probably not.
Probably not.
Oh, Lord.
So we're doing kind of a throwback episode to when this podcast used to be called Unpopular Opinion. We're doing an Unpopular Opinions episode. We haven't done one of these in a while. We've done listener opinions episodes, and boy, do those get wild. But we haven't done one where we bring our own opinions in a while. I don't think. Who can remember? I do so many podcasts. But we're doing one this week. I'm very excited. Should I go first? I want to go first.
Go first.
Yeah, man, do it up.
So I guess I don't know how unpopular this opinion really is, but Gavin Newsom has always been a piece of shit. It didn't start with him launching a podcast where not only is the first guest fucking Charlie Kirk, but the topic is, yeah, you know what? Transgender women should not be allowed to play sports. I know a lot of people were caught off guard by that and see it as some sort of heel turn, but this is just Gavin Newsom being Gavin Newsom. He's been kind of a piece of shit his entire career, dating back to even before he was mayor of San Francisco.
Right.
Or governor of California. There's so much about him to not like. And a lot of it is stuff that people on the left and even just Democrats, which I feel more and more are becoming two very different things. There's a left and then there's Democrats. And they share some beliefs, but I think Gavin Newsom is a fucking Nazi. Might not be one of those beliefs that both of those halves share, but he is. He's also kind of a Nepo baby. I don't know if people know that, but he started a business back in 1991 called Plump Jack Associates. And that turned into a business called Plump Jack Winery, which Plump Jack, that's a pretty fucking weird name.
Yeah, it is a weird name. Plump Jack. What is that even referring? I mean, it's there's got to be some sort of story behind that. Like Plump Jack. Like,
oh, there sure is. It is the title of an opera written by super duper rich guy Gordon Getty, who is the fourth child of oil tycoon J. Paul Getty, who assumed control of his father's $2 billion trust after his dad died in 1976. Close family friend of Gavin Newsom, considers Gavin Newsom like a son. And does anyone want to guess where the seed money to start Plump Jack Associates came from?
Oh, God.
Getty money.
No.
Came from Gordon Getty, who went on to invest in 10 of Gavin Newsom's subsequent 11 businesses. So when you're mad about Dennis Quaid's kid getting acting roles, make sure you set aside time to be pissed that Gavin Newsom got just an entire career handed to him immediately upon exiting college by a fucking billionaire.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be considered a handout? You know what I mean?
It sure would. I mean? It's the kind of thing we give Trump shit for, rightfully. I'm not saying we shouldn't give Trump shit for that too.
Yeah.
In terms of how unpopular this is as an opinion, I think there was like a brief window from like 2018 when he was elected through the early stages of the pandemic when he was seen as this force of good for like relief relative to what was going on in Washington. So, and I think that was the peak window for Gavin Newsom in terms of his popularity. And then the whole fucking French Laundry shit happened.
Yeah.
And even before the trans athlete thing, which is him trying to run for president, all he's been doing since becoming governor, especially since 2020, is say, I'm going to run for president when it makes sense for me to do so. But there's bills that are both popular in a more blue state like California and just common fucking sense that have passed the state legislature that he's vetoed solely because he wants to run for president.
Yeah.
Every decision he's made since becoming governor, and probably before that, has just been, I want to run for president, and he's doing what every fucking Democrat is doing now, which is let's play to the middle, which doesn't exist. If there is a middle, it's right-wing, and if it's right-wing, it's because the right-wing propaganda has been working fucking overtime over the last however many decades, and especially the last decade. He's an appeaser. He's a Neville fucking Chamberlain for his own goddamn country. Yeah. And yeah, I think he had that wave of popularity in the early pandemic days, like March, April 2020. And I think it's just been nonstop shithousery since then. Yeah.
I'll piggyback off of that. I mean, I was one of those people who actually thought like, yeah, okay, this is a guy. Yeah, this is, you know, I fucks with Gavin Newsom, sure. But then, you know, slowly seeing these things happen and it just made me raise an eyebrow like, dude, you're just as sleazy as these other people that you claim to despise. Like, why should I even trust you now? You know, it doesn't, I just can't, because you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of just It reminds me of John Fetterman. Remember John Fetterman?
Oh,
and
sure.
yeah, came out as like the, for the working people, the Democrat, blah blah blah. And as soon as he got elected, he just pulled a 180 and all of a sudden just went into like full on, like almost like Republican mode, just appeasing to all these lobbyists and stuff. And I'm like, wow, dude, you're a snake, like oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't with these people,
Yeah. And with Gavin Newsom, it goes so far back with him. He's always kind of been a Republican. His very first political scandal happened in 2000 when he was running for a Board of Supervisors spot in San Francisco. During that campaign, he paid $500 to appear on a slate card that was backed by Republicans that also encouraged voters to vote for George W. Bush, because why the fuck not? And it worked. He won that election. And he teamed up with Republicans again in 2007. There was this measure proposed that would have implemented something called question time at the Board of Supervisors. And I think it did end up getting implemented. But all it really was the mayor would have to go talk to the Board of Supervisors every month about policy stuff and like actually talk about it. And I think it was going to be televised, like people could watch it. And Gavin Newsom was like, no, I don't want any part of that. And fucking buddied up with Republicans to throw a big fundraiser to oppose that. And then all the homelessness stuff. When he was mayor of San Francisco, super duper expanded their anti-panhandling laws to include like freeway exits, median strips, things like that. And then I don't know if people remember this part, but when the Supreme Court made it essentially illegal to not have a place to sleep, Gavin Newsom was one of the first governors in this country who was like, hell yeah, clear out those homeless encampments.
Yeah.
And now he's doing actual Trump shit where he's threatening to withhold funding from cities in California if they don't clear out their homeless encampments quick enough for his liking, while offering no solutions for where people are supposed to go. That is Trump and immigration, 100%.
Yeah.
It's just a smaller group of people and someone that people perceive as being on the left. No, he's a fucking Republican. He's a conservative Republican.
Yeah.
Yep. And you know what? It's not like the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco doesn't have a checkered fucking history.
Right.
Dan White was on that board. I'm not saying Gavin Newsom is as bad as Dan White, but it's not a good track record on that fucking board.
Yeah, they also have some unsavory ties to Jonestown, which is weird.
I did not know that.
Jonestown.
Yeah.
Oh, I did know that, actually. I did know that. I thought you meant Gavin Newsom specifically. No. That's a theory I want to hear. Save that for the conspiracy pod.
I'm not familiar with Jonestown. What happened with Jonestown?
Jonestown?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
Oh, Jonestown was the Jim Jones cult where drink the Kool-Aid
okay.
thing.
Yes. Okay. Got it. That. Okay. I remember now. Yeah. Oof.
That happened in Guyana, but that group started in California, and a lot of what allowed them to succeed and grow in California was them getting government jobs. The People's Temple recruited they got people jobs at welfare offices. And that's why so much of Jonestown was just poor black people, because that's who they were targeting. They were like, don't you want to go live in this socialist utopia in Guyana? All you got to do is turn this check over to us that you're about to get. And people were like, cool, sounds great. And then when they got there, it was literal slavery is what Jonestown was. And there are a lot of, because of where it was happening, there's a lot of weird connections between like Harvey Milk and like Dianne Feinstein and like all of these people in the San Francisco area at that time. It's really fucking uncomfortable. Everything about Jonestown from a American government standpoint is very uncomfortable. I think it was the CIA. that did it. So yeah, fuck Gavin Newsom. Do we have any final thoughts on him?
No, I mean, everything you said was just spot on and stuff. And it's when you mentioned something about how he basically is, he went into like, the right wing. Right. He basically went into the right wing. He's basically another person who Trojan horsed himself as a Democrat and then went into, and we're seeing that happen more and more. And not only that, but we're seeing all the stuff that should be what Democrats are fighting for, like free education, universal health care, all that other stuff. All of a sudden that stuff is being considered radical.
Yeah.
It's like, what? And then we're edging more. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's not going to work. Gavin Newsom is not going to win because no matter what Democrats say, they're still going to pin them as radical leftists. Like, no matter what. So Gavin Newsom's not going to win an election, but he's fucking over California in order to win the presidency, which he's not going to win.
It's really self-serving. It really is a lot of self-serving. It's just... Obviously, he's just in it for himself. Right? It's clear. Just another career politician. And it's really sickening to see.
Yeah, there's I don't care who he would be running against in 2028. There is no world where I will vote for fucking Gavin Newsom. We got Trump. Like, Trump happened, and even if he doesn't serve a fucking third term, all the shit he's going to do is going to be hard to undo. And it's going to take more than fucking Gavin Newsom and regular Democrat bullshit to do it. Fuck that. There is no goddamn way I would vote for Gavin Newsom in 2028. Not going to vote for a fucking Republican either, but...
Oh, yeah, definitely not.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to go next?
Up to y'all.
JP, you go next.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, since we're already in that sort of neck of the woods, might as well keep it here, right? I've said this, so many times to like my friends and stuff, but like Democrat, Republican, organized crime, what's the difference? Like, I don't see any difference. Like, literally, especially after this whole election cycle, everything, the whole, all the rallies, the campaign, and then finally when Trump got elected and stuff, it's like, I'm sorry. The amount of blame that I saw from Democratic voters and Democrats themselves, elite Democrats themselves, constantly blaming the people who, for example, who voted third party or the people who didn't vote at all and stuff. And they're like, undecided voters, a vote for Trump. It's like, no, that's not how voting works. A vote for Trump is a vote for Trump. That's how that works. OK. And if you're going to say that, an undecided vote is a vote for Trump, it's like, what does that say about the Democratic Party? Is your party that weak that they cannot beat somebody that like Trump? Clearly they are, because as much as Democrats want to sit there and be like, Trump is dumb, Trump is dumb, Trump is stupid. Yeah, but you lost to him twice. So what does that make you?
Yeah.
And yeah, the Democrats, they ran a failed. They didn't learn a damn thing from 2016. They did not learn shit from 2016. They ran a failed, pitiful campaign. I mean, first off, they lied to their voters about Joe Biden's mental decline, which we could all see happen in real time. Like, we all saw it. Right. And no matter what, even people on the campaign, the campaign staff, they came out in interviews on some other podcasts and stuff. They came out in interviews saying that they had no backup plan if Joe Biden was to drop out. They had zero backup plan. They just made it their main priority to keep him in the race. How irresponsible and reckless is that? To do everything you can to keep that guy in. Like, let's say, for example, he won. Let's say, for example, he managed to like edge it out somehow and eke it out and like trip over his own dick and then win again. We're okay with that. We're okay with having a completely senile president whose brain has turned into cottage cheese. We're fine with that.
It reminds me of Reagan shit, where it's like Reagan was such a fucking mess mentally, but he was valuable in that way. He was very malleable. He was just kind of the face of something else, is what Reagan was. And I feel the same way about Trump. And seeing that with Biden just made me feel like, well, what are you the face of? Because someone really wants you to still be president, even though it's not the best thing for the country and a fucking long shot that it was ever going to happen. After that first fucking debate, you'd have to be out of your goddamn mind to have voted for Joe Biden. Trump looked like he felt sorry for Joe Biden at a few different points during that debate. It was one of the saddest fucking things I've ever seen. And you're right that Democrats still were like, no. Riding with Biden is a slogan Democrats started to try and throw out there. It's like, how fucking insulting is that? Fuck you.
Yeah.
And the thing where people were going to vote the way they were going to vote, if you were upset about Democrats because Democrats were the ones fucking in office aiding a fucking genocide and you didn't want to vote for Democrats over it, I feel like you could be forgiven. If you were concerned about immigration and trans rights and you voted for Harris, you can be forgiven. But if you are the Democrats that lost and you're like, all these people that were mad about us aiding a genocide, don't fucking aid a genocide then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Easy math. Don't do it. Like, stand up for what you claim to stand up for. And that, again, is why I'll not fucking vote for Gavin Newsom in 2028. Fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one thing, if you look at the fucking math of the 2024 election, Trump got fewer votes in 2024 than he got in 2020. The only reason he lost is because Kamala got even fewer. And if you look at the reasons why voters who voted for Biden didn't vote for Kamala across the country and across swing states, the number one reason was both of their supports of the genocide.
Yeah.
The math show. So there's two ways you can go about it. You can either say, like you said, you can either get mad at people who didn't vote. Fine. If you want to do that, that's your prerogative. Or you can get mad and say, hey, maybe if you hadn't funded a fucking genocide, you had a chance of winning the election.
Yeah,
exactly.
The math supports the latter. And what was so fucking frustrating after the election was every single centrist/left, Democrat pundit was saying that Kamala ran too left a campaign. That was like what every mainstream centrist was saying, that she was too loose on trans rights, too loose on other it's just like, no, she ran the exact campaign that a centrist Democrat, center-right Democrat would run. She ran that exact campaign down to the letter, and she still lost because the math shows she discouraged people who voted for Biden from voting for her again.
Yeah.
Period. That's the math. It's not even like an opinion in my mind.
Absolutely. And I mean, she was cozying up to like Liz Cheney, like the neocon daughter of Dick Cheney, aka the butcher of Baghdad. Like, and it's like you really expect to win people over. The fact that people are trying to blame, like, just to touch on your point, Ethan, the numbers don't lie. I mean, 80% of Democratic voters were in favor of a ceasefire and arms embargo. That 80%, that's not just a majority, that's an overwhelming majority. And that's a lot of people to ignore. That's a lot of people to basically just put on the backside and say, yeah, whatever. Like, if you lose because you didn't listen to 80% of your voters, that's on you. You know what I mean? Like, and not only that, but the fact that the elite Democrats themselves, not just Kamala, but just all of them, they alienated the Arab American population in this country, right? They alienated them when they went, like, for example, there's one, I think it happened in, I want to say it was Dearborn, Michigan, or no, there was one congressman, there was an Arab American congressman, his name was Ahmed Ghanim. Right. He was like he ran as a Democrat successfully, he was unsuccessful this year, but he showed up at one of Kamala's rallies, to support and to show, to get more Arab Americans to vote for Kamala. Right. And they kicked him out. The staff there, they kicked him out for no reason at all. They did, and they did that with a lot of Arab American voters at the Democratic rallies and stuff, and they kicked them out. And then they send somebody like Bill Clinton to, I believe it was Dearborn, Michigan, which is like a huge population of Arab Americans, and he basically talked down to them and gaslit them. Oh, it's Hamas's fault that your families are getting bombed. Anyway, vote for us. It's like, You all really expect these people to vote for you while you're continuously sending blank check after blank check to destroy their families, to obliterate their relatives? Like, you expect them to just bow down and kiss the ring? Like, nah, bro. No. That was a terrible look for Democrats. That was horrible. And then for them to blame third party voters for like this, the amount of hate that I saw online from Blue MAGA. Right. I found that term somewhere. I think I heard it on the Young Turks, and I'm like, you know what? I'm using that term from now on, Blue MAGA, because yeah, that's what they are. Like, they came out and saying things like, oh, you know, these third party voters, it's their fault. They made up 0.4% of the total votes, not even a full percentage. So, and they only did good in the states that Kamala won. So even if they did vote for her, she would have lost anyway. It's crazy to me how they blame, like, the elite Democrats blame everybody but themselves. They chose to listen to their billionaire corporate donors instead of listening to the will of the people that they claim to represent. And that's what really gets me heated. And even now, they're still they rigged they rigged the primaries again. I think they skipped the primaries this time. Same thing they did last year and stuff. And it's like, no, we're not going to do this. You know, people are fed up with that shit. And to see people online, like a lot of people online being like, yeah, we told you so. We told you this was going to happen to Gaza. We told you this was going to, like, oh, now y'all want to mention Gaza? Because where were y'all for the past 15, 16 months when Biden was bypassing Congress to send blank checks over to commit atrocities? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And that's what another thing that gets me heated. How many times did Democrats in office, whether it was the president, the Senate, the House, how many times did they say, oh, you know, we can't get past the Republicans. The Republicans are blocking everything. We can't bypass them, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, we know we get it. We know they're trying hard to block everything that Democrats do. I mean, Dick Cheney even said it himself during the Obama administration that he would basically roadblock everything that Obama tried to do. Yeah, we get that. Fucking fight back. Like, what is this shit? So show some balls, for the love of Cthulhu.
I do want to add one little caveat, though. If you didn't vote for Harris on account of Palestine, I absolutely get that. If you just abstain from voting. If you voted third party because of Palestine, I get that. Mm-hmm. If you voted for Trump because you thought he was going to be better when it came to Israel, you're a fucking buffoon.
Yeah.
Who should never goddamn vote again.
That's baffling to me. Yeah.
Like, voting for Trump and not voting for Harris are two different things.
Yes.
Even though people would have you believe they're not. They're absolutely two different.
They are 100%. Also, in the ads leading up to the election, every single ad for Kamala was about the economy. And it's like, that makes no fucking sense to me because, you know, even though I do think she would have been better for the economy, that is an issue poll voters are consistently saying the Republican candidates are better on. How every ad for Kamala was not a woman dying from a miscarriage, from sepsis, for that. How was that not every single ad campaign for Kamala? How is that? How do you not address that in your ad campaign? Oh, it's too hard to see. It fucking works. That's the thing that most Americans are completely aligned on. And if they see the real evidence of that, I've been hearing for decades, you know, I'm 38, so whatever, however long I've been alive, that if the Republicans overturn Roe v. Wade, it would be the death knell for the Republican Party because all Democrats had to do was use that in election campaigns and it would be over. They didn't use it.
They
didn't use the easiest fucking slam dunk issue that they are on the right side of, and they just didn't use it. Like, how does that fucking make sense?
There was anti-abortion shit getting voted down in Kansas. Yeah. Fucking Kansas. So at least try it. At least run it up the flagpole. See if it works. But yeah, it barely came up. And I think it barely came up because I think the attitude was, well, obviously we're the alternative to Trump. So like, you don't even need to hear what we say about abortion because you already know what Republicans say. So you just take it for granted that we're better.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, then why wasn't Roe v. Wade ever codified into law under Biden.
Yeah. And it's not even you're right. It's not, I wouldn't even say it's a slam dunk. I would say it's a layup. That was like a layup thing and that's the thing. That's what really irritates me. I don't even think, like, how can I put this? The Democrats literally knew what needed to be done and they didn't do it. They had 4 years. They had I think this is the third time they had majority. They had the Senate, the House, and the presidency majority. I think because of Obama, they had the majority, I believe.
Biden and Clinton.
Yeah, and Biden and Clinton, yeah. And all 3 of those times, they didn't do fuck all. Codify Roe v. Wade, didn't do it. Eliminate the filibuster, didn't do it. Expand the Supreme Courts, didn't do it. Protect voting rights, especially voting rights for people of color. And they didn't do it. And, once the Republicans started shooting down bills, protecting voting rights and stuff, and started eliminating voting rights for groups of people in certain states, Democrats didn't even put up a fight, bro. They didn't. They just sat there. And one of the things I just can't possibly fathom is just, I'm tired of them and their performative bullshit. I'm tired because when Roe v. Wade got overturned, what did the Democrats do? They stood outside singing songs or posting videos on their X accounts of them doing yoga or stuff, or writing poems. Like, no, get off your asses and actually fight back. We saw that again just recently when during the congressional hearing when Representative Al Green, right, when he spoke up and he interrupted Trump for defending Medicaid and telling him not to cut Medicaid and stuff like that. And obviously he got escorted out by the guards. They kicked him out, and not a single one of those Democrats in there had his back. Not a single one of those pink coated people had got between him and the guards. They just sat there in the little performative protest pink coats, waving their little pickleball paddles and stuff. Like,
even if they didn't, try and physically get between him and the guards, I was sure every fucking one of them was going to have to be walked out. That's what should have happened.
That's what should have happened.
He should have got walked out and someone else should have started fucking being loud.
Yeah.
Like, it should have taken fucking 6 hours.
Yes.
Fuck that. Like, go down with a fight at least.
Exactly.
You fucking cowards. God damn it.
They and then to find out that 10 of them actually voted, 10 of those same Democrats actually voted to censor Al Green.
Yeah, fucking traitors.
It's like, wow, y'all basically just threw him under the bus completely. I'm so done with Democrats and their performative bull. You know what that reminds me of? All that pink coat paddle stuff. Remember back in 2020 during the Black Lives Matter movement, like the message of the protest was clear, end qualified immunity so you can actually hold cops accountable and actually make sure that when they lose these lawsuits, the money comes out of their pockets and not the taxpayers' pockets. Get rid of qualified immunity, defund the police, cut down their over bloated police budget and reallocate that money into these marginalized communities, especially the communities that were ravaged by police brutality and police violence. And then, of course, like I said, prosecute, hold them accountable, hold these cops accountable. And what did the Democrats do? They put on kente cloth and took knees and kneeling in front of the Capitol or whatever. And then once they got elected again, they gave the cops more money, because even Biden was like, fund them, fund them, fund them. They gave him more money and allowed them to build cop cities all across the nation. Bro, from here on out, I'm an independent. Don't get me wrong. I will vote for Kermit the Frog before I ever vote Republican. But I am done with these Democrats. They are not giving us what we want. What we're supposed to have, and so no.
And then after Kamala lost, all the pundit takes where she was too pro defunding the police. She was too anti-cop. Every moderate, like New York Times op-ed section was just like, she was too left on cops. No, where the fuck does that come from?
World?
What world
in
does
what
that exist?
universe? No way.
Yeah.
She's a damn cop herself. You know what I mean? So no. They need to do better because they clearly don't give a fuck about their voters as much as they claim. They're just, doing the bidding of their corporate masters. It's so disgusting for me to see,
Yeah, bad times. Ethan, what's your first opinion?
I'll do a political one, but I'm going to do one that I think is the closest I can come up with now to some kind of out to what the fuck we're dealing with right now.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say the only way we can fight back is if you focus on one issue. One issue. You can't, if you focus on nothing, you're just living in an oppressive system and you're not doing anything to fight back. If you're like doing everything at once, you're half-assing when you should be whole-assing on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you can get mad about a lot of things, but in terms of the actions you take, you need to focus and hone in on one thing, because otherwise you're just going to be completely scattered and the left is going to be completely scattered.
Mm-hmm.
So I think and it's not like you're ignoring other issues, but if you are, there's enough people devoting to everything. If you focus all your attention in terms of how you fight back on one issue, then you'll be a lot more effective than if you're just like flailing with the chicken with the head cut off, which just makes sense given the way things are. But it needs to be single issue advocacy from here on out. And it doesn't, if you have enough people focusing on one issue all the time, as opposed to everyone being like 20% of themselves, if that, it will be a lot more effective of a way to fight back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess I would need to know more about what you mean by focusing.
Yeah.
And what kind of things do you give up in the name of focusing on a single issue? Because the problem is there's more than one issue.
Right.
And I think there's more than one issue and they are all of kind of equal importance. So like, how do you, focus on Palestine and not focus on immigration or trans rights, things like that?
Yeah, it's not like you're not on the same side of it, but if there's 3 people on this podcast, if we each spent 20% of our capacity to fight back, whatever extent that is, on 5 different issues, we'd have less than if one of us if I focus, for instance, on Gaza. If JP, you focused on trans rights. Adam, if you focused on immigration. If that's one stronger person that's just pulling it out of a hat. Because I'm Jewish, the Gaza thing hits harder for me, but that's beside the point. But you are going to be a better version of yourself. And it's not like you're not acknowledging the other issues, but you will crash and burn if you're focusing on everything at the same time. And you are at your best self if you focus on one issue. And there's enough fucking people in the resistance. So if Adam, if you were focusing on immigration and you're one person times 300,000, that's 300,000 people focusing on that one issue. If I am focusing on Israel, Gaza, and there's 300,000 people focused for me, that's more than 300,000 people splitting their attention between 20 different things. There's enough people in this resistance to organize, communicate, make an agenda, push that agenda. There's enough for every single issue out there that needs to get done. There's enough. Yeah. There's an abundance of people willing to resist. But if we're scattered, that's going to cause a mess. And it's not going to be effective.
Wait a second. What the hell? I don't get 300,000 people. He gave 300,000 to you guys. I got to go in there alone? What the hell?
Yeah. You're fucked. It's a more valuable use of your time. You can be upset about all the issues, but if you focus on one issue, that is what I can't advocate enough for, at least in terms of your activity on how you deal with an issue, focusing on one thing. 2 if you have more time, but no more than 2.
It's interesting you bring that up because that rings true in the sense that that's one thing that Democrats or Democratic voters are not, is organized. Say whatever you want about Republicans and stuff, but they organize over these certain issues. And the whole time while they were in Senate and Congress and stuff, and they were, there were all these smoke screens happening and stuff, they were planning and they were plotting and they pushed out all their executive orders, all their plans with mucho gusto. Like they went for it. And that's what, you're right. That's what Democrats need to do. They need to organize properly and they need to focus on the quality of their defense.
But that's easy for Republicans because their single issue is oppression.
Yeah.
Everything they do is in the name of oppression, even if they're focusing on different ways of doing it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the single issue kind of needs to be fighting that oppression on as many fronts as possible. I don't know, maybe I'm the exception, but like what I'm doing right now is kind of how I fight this stuff. And immigration has always been the key driving force for me behind Trump. Was I don't want to see fucking mass deportations. And that was what kicked it off. But since then, there have been other things. And I feel like, at least in my case, it's better for me to give a platform to our episode last week was about Iowa stripping trans rights from their constitution. I would prefer to be able to give a voice to that one week and then immigration the next week. And, Palestine. Jesus. Of course, my mic cuts when I say Palestine.
Wait a second.
APAC has found its way to Whiteout.
God, they're good at what they do. Holy shit. But also, like, if you only have the energy to focus on one issue, focus on that issue. That helps too, obviously.
Yeah, I get it. Because some of this stuff can be overwhelming. And you want to focus the quality of each issue instead of just taking all things on. I do understand that. Yeah.
Do what you can. Just fucking do something.
Just do something.
Yeah.
Because the Democrats aren't going to do shit.
Keep us safe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. Do I have any fun opinions? I don't know that I do. Yeah. Let's talk about sports.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Let's go.
I feel like sports media, and here's the thing, fuck most of sports media too, I get it. But just in the name of kind of giving them what they want, sports media should just not talk about sports for a week. Or at least don't talk about professional sports. Talk about stories happening anywhere else. And I say a week for sports, 10, 15 years for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is really the driving force behind this, but you see it with LeBron James a lot recently too, where any criticism of him is just, oh, that's media narratives. And it's like, no, maybe you just had a bad game, dude.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers would have you believe anyone who criticizes his performance on the field is just mad that he wasn't vaccinated against COVID. It's like, I guarantee a lot of fucking Jets fans care way more about your performance on the field than they do about you not getting vaccinated. Because here's the thing, and this is a preview of this week's You Don't Even Like This documentary episode where we cover Aaron Rodgers' enigma. Aaron Rodgers is just a loser.
Yeah.
Since 2010, Aaron Rodgers is just a loser. He sometimes loses in the NFC Championship game, but he's got way more of a history of failure than anything else. And he's been desperately trying to deflect attention from that forever. And now it's turned into this thing where, well, if you criticize me, it's because, you don't like that I didn't get the vaccine. All right, fine. Just fucking stop talking about him then. Don't give him fucking documentaries. Don't fucking talk about him. And kind of the same thing with athletes who are mad that the media is covering them. You're an athlete.
Yeah, that's part of your job.
There's a whole section of newspapers dedicated to what you do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's a whole industry.
It literally comes to the territory.
Like, you want to play sports in private? I don't get it. Go.
The only problem I have with that, and maybe it's not a problem, but I'm just like, there's so much right-wing shit in sports media, at least among the punditry of sports,
Yes.
that I don't want that information. At least to some extent, the mask would be off on terms of how much, like, fucking Skip Bayless, or I have a whole thing on Stephen A. Smith coming up, or whoever. You can see what they're really fucking about. But at the same time, I don't want to hear their fucking takes. I don't want to hear any take from someone who is not about sports, who's paid to talk about sports and does a poor job at it on top of that. I don't want to fucking hear what you have to say about life, because it's going to be ugly. And I've already seen it. Anytime an athlete comes up in, like, the punditry who's committed domestic abuse or some horrific crime, the amount that sports pundits will fucking downplay that and say, well, that doesn't really matter, or every athlete does that. Like, who fucking no?
Yeah.
Don't fucking say that. How about you let them? They're fucking human beings. So even if Aaron Rodgers, yes, I agree, he plays hero ball in the playoffs. He was incredible in the regular season, but he would play hero ball in the playoffs. He did that with the Jets, did that with the Packers, and he would ruin the team because of that. There'd be wide open receivers 10 yards down the field, and he would miss them because he's going for someone 50 yards down the field.
Yeah.
That was Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs for most of his career. But it's not like if you're criticizing him because he's not vaccinated, you can fucking criticize him for not being vaccinated. That's part of the package with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
That's totally fair game.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Absolutely. And the fact that people think that not being vaccinated is a flex is just baffling to me. Especially if you're playing on a sports team. You are literally around your teammates all the time. It's like, yeah, shouldn't you try to protect yourself and your teammates? Like, I mean, shouldn't that be like priority one? Like, why are you proud of not getting the amount of people that are proud of being like waving that like it's like the biggest, like it's like it's some sort of an accomplishment to be like, yeah, I'm not vaccinated. It's like, okay, great. Now we have another measles outbreak, or now wasn't there another outbreak recently? Just I think I don't think I can't remember exactly what it was, if it was polio or whatnot, but there was another outbreak recently in another state, and it's like, I thought we were done with this.
Yeah.
That
part, to me, the whole flag waving, I'm proud to not be vaccinated, that is what kind of separates Novak Djokovic from the rest of the anti-vax athletes, because that wasn't ever really his thing, for one thing. And two, tennis is a very solitary sport.
Yeah.
You can get away with not interacting with fucking anyone until you have to get on the court and be a fucking tennis court away from each other. He's just weird about health shit in general. The motherfucker was wearing like a Tony Stark arc reactor in his fucking chest for a while on the fucking court. Like, he's just a weird health dude in general. So is Tom Brady. But Tom Brady was definitely vaccinated for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But so the fact that Novak Djokovic was never like, oh, well, because it's a government conspiracy, obviously. Like, that's why I don't. And he was never putting a team in jeopardy. That's what separated him from, say, Aaron Rodgers to me when it came to not being vaccinated.
Like I was saying, it's part of the package. And it's one of those things where I don't give a shit what your reason is.
Yeah.
If functionally you're not vaccinated, functionally you're hurting your team.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, even because I'm a wrestling fan myself, and even during the whole lockdown and stuff, they didn't have fans in attendance. Each wrestler, everybody, whether it was in-ring performers, whether it was cameramen, whatever like that, they had to get. Well, first off, they had to get vaccinated, and they had to get tested every single time that they were there. I mean, it's like you're protecting yourself and the people around you. I mean, the amount of times I had to be on set for, TV shows, movies, whatever. And sometimes I'd be on set 2-3 times a week, constantly getting tested every single time. If somebody was sick, nope, go home immediately. Like, you're around other people, and you should want to take care of your coworkers and your teammates.
If this is kind of a sidebar, but if there does not already exist enough footage to make a NBA bubble documentary, I'm going to be fucking irate. Because I want to see some behind the scenes shit from that the NBA pulled that off. How was that not a fucking TV show? How is that not like a season of Hard Knocks? I just hope there's a documentary about that someday.
I feel like it's been 5 years, and given the turnaround time on documentaries, like, they already have a fucking Luigi documentary.
Yeah.
I feel like if they haven't had it in 5 years, it's not happening.
It's not happening, yeah.
That's true.
Which is surprising that they have a Luigi documentary. I'm like, what? Okay, I don't know if I want to see it, but I guess I'll put it on my to-do list. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to hear what fucking corporate TV shows have to say about Luigi Mangione at all.
Yeah, because they're definitely going to like vilify him to the nth degree.
Yeah. I feel like we should go out of order this time with the opinions, because I feel like Ethan has one that lends itself nicely to what we were just talking about.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah, my take, and it's a dumb take, or a dumbly phrased, but very much, I think my heart's in my place. I think Stephen A. Smith should be sent to jail. I think he got $100 million contract from ESPN a week ago, and the first thing he did was give shit to Bronny James, like on the sidelines of the Lakers game. If you're a journalist, if you claim to be an analyst, you are not the fucking story. You are not the fucking story. You are analyzing it from how can you have any claim? And just like every take I see from him, I'm like, that is just fundamentally wrong. And wrong both from a ignorant point of view and a just factual incorrect. Like today, I saw he said the Yankees should have been better they should have gotten Garrett Cole Tommy John surgery in this winter so he'd have more time to come back. I'm like, A, he didn't feel anything until a week ago. Why would you give someone Tommy John surgery and have them miss a year if you didn't fucking have to? And B, he would still miss this whole season. That's how Tommy John surgery works in terms of its time frame. Mm-hmm. What kind of person gets mad for something that makes no sense? And he said it's not just that he's wrong all the time, that he doesn't know shit about NBA draft prospects when you're literally the top analyst for the NBA draft. He's also said things like Ray Rice's wife should have been better about defending herself when that shit went down.
Jesus.
Yeah, he said that he was suspended for 1 week. 1 week for that. He should have been fired immediately.
Yeah,
and never been on the face of TV again.
That's a horrible thing to say. Like, she should have defended, because it's like it's not only blaming the victim but also normalizing shitty behavior. You know? Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that reminds me, back when the Michael Vick dog situation happened, I was on, an old-timey internet message board, and that came up, and I was like, not for nothing, but I do kind of feel like Michael Vick is getting punished a little harder than, say, athletes who beat their wives. And this motherfucker jumped in and goes, well, women can defend themselves and dogs can't. It's like, man, I'll take a pit bull in a fight against most women.
Also, if you're a fucking NFL-sized and NFL-level athletic player, unless you're like Cheryl Miller or something at that fucking magnitude, you're not going to be able to defend yourself. And also, it shouldn't fucking happen.
Even then, you're going to kind of need to be like Cheryl Miller with a gun, probably.
Yeah.
Like that version of Cheryl Miller. I do want to... Did I miss something about the sideline interaction? Because the one I saw was LeBron James getting in Stephen A. Smith's face about his commentary about Bronny James.
He got into it in the game with Bronny James. He got into it like he was on the sidelines.
Oh.
And I mean, like, regardless, and we're fair, LeBron, LeBron, it was like a mess, and LeBron's behavior is not perfect, but also Stephen A. Smith should not be fucking involved in that situation, period.
Yeah.
He should be if he was half good at his job. And I'm sick of sports fans being like, well, he's an entertainer, he embellishes. So did fucking Rush Limbaugh. He's the Rush Limbaugh of fucking sports commentary. And I fucking can't stand him. He should not be allowed a microphone in a sports context, period.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The thing that really, really turned me off to Stephen A. Smith was the Monica McNutt situation that happened last year, where they were talking about the WNBA, and Stephen A. Smith starts going on this rant about how, well, of course, WNBA players are upset that now Caitlin Clark is in the league. Well, now the WNBA is getting all this attention. And Monica McNutt was like, you could have been covering the WNBA before Caitlin Clark showed up. And she was absolutely right, but he just was so offended at being called out in that way. He basically went on his podcast or his YouTube show later that day and basically was like, I kind of made you, Monica McNutt. Like, how dare you question me? And then she wasn't on First Take again for I think she's just been back within recent weeks. And it's like, man, fuck you.
Damn.
Take the fucking loss. You're not going to win every debate. I feel like that's why Max Kellerman got kicked off the show. I remember one episode, Max Kellerman was talking about the over-under on something, and he goes, 8.5 points. And Stephen A. Smith goes, well, of course it's going to be over-under. Who's going to score 8.5 points? And Max Kellerman was like, do you not know how the over-under works? That's exactly the point, is no one's going to score 8.5. So you go over or under. It's like, you've been doing this for so long and you don't get that basic sports shit. Yeah, he sucks. He fucking sucks.
And and the thing is, as well, it's like when it comes to that debate, it's like, or any other of his debates, it's like, he shouldn't consider them losses. He could consider those learning experiences. No matter what like, I mean, we have debates all the time. I mean, anybody, I mean, I'm sure y'all have had debates numerous times with people. I've had debates numerous times with people. I never ever consider a debate to be a win or lose aspect. I never consider that. I always consider debates to be like, okay, you know what? Even if we don't agree, even if we don't agree with each other or something like that, I've learned something. There's something in there in that span of a conversation where I have learned something, and now I need to go and take that knowledge and, you know, do a deep dive, and so I can learn more, so I can have a better understanding. That's what debate should be about, like learning and understanding.
Or should the Cowboys re-sign Dak Prescott? That's what debate should be about. That's what 90% of fucking First Take episodes are about. The Cowboys or the Lakers. Even Charles Barkley the other day went on a rant, and I think he's going to be working for ESPN next year.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, you motherfuckers know there's other teams playing basketball right now than just the Lakers, right? And no, it seems like they sometimes don't know that.
Right.
All right. So fuck Stephen A. Smith. I think we can all agree on that. JP, what's your next opinion?
Well,
your next J-pinion.
My next JP. That's my rapper name. How do you know? Got my album dropping in May. Let's go. J Pinion. Well, I mean, I mentioned earlier that, you know, I talked about wrestling earlier and stuff, and because I'm a huge wrestling fan. And of course, you know, obviously everybody wants to say, oh, you know, it's fake. And but you always hear that every single time. Even to this day, people are just like, you know, wrestling's fake. And it's like, yeah. If that's your argument that wrestling is fake, if that's your complaint, then I hate to disappoint you, but wait till you find out about your favorite movies. You know, it's like that's what I honestly truly believe, that basically the way I see it, wrestlers are simply, they're just actors that do their own stunts 300 days out of the year.
I would take that a step further and say, yes, wrestlers are acting. That makes what they do way harder than just playing regular sports.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to act in the NBA. You don't have to act in Major League Baseball. You have to act and be athletic enough to jump off the fucking top rope and land on a motherfucker without hurting them.
Yes.
Like, it'd be way easier to just fucking smash into that dude and you like break your sternum, he dies.
Yeah.
That would be so much easier. What they do is the hardest sport. And the schedule's fucking nuts.
The schedule is crazy.
They're doing like a tennis schedule. It's crazy.
It is. Yeah. I mean, they have to do the televised shows, then the non-televised shows where they do the house shows. So it's like they're constantly throwing each other's bodies around for like just like barely any days off, barely, you know, like, I mean, thankfully now Paul Levesque, Triple H, is, you know, taken over now. So now it's like he's giving them sick leaves, he's giving them days to rest and stuff. He's taking their mental health a lot more seriously. He's giving them holidays. He's allowing that, he's doing like pre-taped shows where he can, you know, they tape the show or whatever, and then the performers can go home for the holidays and be with their families. Like, thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think in terms of where the attitudes towards wrestling came from, I think a lot of it was from like the shock that it's staged. That was like, we've known this for 30 fucking years now.
Yeah.
We've known it's staged.
Yeah.
If you're like someone who feels betrayed by the staging of wrestling, that it's not a real sport, like, you're over the age, you probably still subscribe to Playboy. Like, you're still over the age of like 50 or 60. If you're still upset about that, you're like, I don't know if this rap music is music. You're like, this is like a take that's 40 years old. I'm sick of the take that wrestling isn't real, therefore it's bad. And it's like, I think it is an incredibly athletic endeavor.
Yeah.
If you believe the drama is cheap, fine. But if you're saying these guys aren't incredible athletes and incredible performers, then like, what are you even doing?
Yeah.
Like, if you're still feeling the betrayal, like, wasn't there like a 60 Minutes episode in like 1989 or 1992 that's like, oh, it's all staged? And like a generation of Gen Xers were like, my heart is broken. It's like part of me died. It's like, grow the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm old enough to have watched that episode, and it was a guy named John Stossel who was doing the reporting. I think it was 2020. It was an episode of 2020. And I can't remember the wrestler now, but he straight up asks a wrestler like backstage, like in the locker room or something, like, do you care to comment on the reports that wrestling is fake? And dude just fucking smacked him.
I do remember seeing that, actually. I saw that on Dark Side of the Ring. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he comes back on the air and he's got like a Band-Aid on his ear. I guess that's not fake, is it? That was great.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, it was like we know that the outcomes of the matches are staged. We already know that. It's like, you know, when it's funny because when you mentioned that, Ethan, about, you know, the people who are getting mad that it's all staged and stuff, and so there's some people who are getting mad now. It's like, oh, you know, kayfabe is gone, and you know, kayfabe is a term where it's like, you know, they keep character throughout their day and stuff, and it's like, no, yeah, I mean, kayfabe, yeah, it's you know, some wrestlers are keeping it alive and keeping their characters outside, you know, and off camera and stuff, and that's great. But it's like, come on, man, these are human beings. They're not like Rey Mysterio is not going to go around in his mask all day, every day. You know, like, come on.
I tell you, to tie this all up, one of the things that does offend me about wrestling is when outlets like ESPN or especially First Take, this happened on an episode of First Take recently, when they debate things that happen in wrestling matches as if it's not a TV show. Case in point, John Cena just took a heel turn.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp did this whole debate about how disappointed they were. It's like, will you shut the fuck up, please?
Right.
Like, what is wrong with you? Like, it is wrestling. Stop it. But
if you're mad at it because like it's a narrative decision, like I get mad at TV shows for decisions they make in their story all the time. Yeah. If you're debating it on those merits, fine. But if you're debating it as like John Cena, the persona, is bad now, it's like,
we trusted you, John Cena.
Why, John? Say it ain't so.
Yeah.
Do you understand how things work?
Yeah.
Like,
you are a child if that is your point you're trying to make.
Oh my God, it's so true.
So yeah, I'm with you. Wrestling deserves a little more respect than people give it. I don't watch it, but still. I did when I was a kid. I just don't watch it now.
Yeah, I think for me, I didn't have it in my like things I watched as a kid. And it is one of those, like, but it's the same as sports in terms of like, if you didn't watch it as a kid, odds are you're not getting into it as an adult.
Yeah,
like,
I don't watch soccer either. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of sports I don't watch. I don't like, you know, a lot of ball sports. I'm not the only sports I really watch now are like combat sports. Like I love watching like professional Muay Thai fights in Thailand, like at Ratchatham Stadium, like RWS. I love watching One Championship in Lumpini Stadium. I love watching that type of stuff because I you know, I've trained and fought in Muay Thai for years myself, and so I love watching the art form. I love watching the technicality. It's, you know, it's just part of me.
So I think that's our episode, right? We did it.
I believe so.
Thank you both, JP, Ethan, for doing the pod. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, man. Thank
you for as always.
What do we have to plug before we get out of here? All I got is adamtoddbrown.bsky.social. Please follow me on Blue Sky. That's Adam Todd Brown, Todd with 1D. It's the only social media platform I'm using. I might start using Substack more, but beyond that, Instagram, Twitter, fucking Facebook. You kidding me? No. So follow me there. That's all I got right now. JP, what do you want to plug?
Follow me on IG, on Threads, on I guess Facebook as well. I guess we'll throw that in there. Follow me on Blue Sky. Follow me on Twitch. I do a stream every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. This is JP Brown. Just look me up. I also have my very first stand-up comedy special coming out very soon. It's still being edited, but it's coming out very soon. Philosophy and Pasta. It's going to be posted on YouTube. So I'll keep you all posted. Just follow me and I will lead the way.
Very nice. Ethan, what do you want to plug?
Yeah, you can follow me on all the platforms at Ethan Stan Comedy. I am probably going to be producing another version of my one-person show, Jew Interrupted, at some point in the future. I was supposed to do it this month, but I had to cancel for health reasons. But more is coming up. It may be at Hollywood Fringe, not confirmed yet, but nice. Keep following me for more information.
Nice. And I think that's it. Let's get the fuck out of here. JP, say goodbye.
Guys, I will see you soon. Stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy, and of course, stay awesome.
Ethan, say goodbye.
Ditto.
Goodbye, everybody. We love you.
Bristol Street, Bristol Street.